Relationship fights suck unless you do it right.
But really, are you doing it right?
Do you even know how to do it right? Do you even really know what doing it right means? For real. Because if you are fighting and you're doing it right, it ends well.
Now I'm saying.
So sometimes it ends well, and other times you might end up in a fight where someone is, yelling, tripping, doing the most, basically doing everything with the waving of the hands and the pointing of the fingers and the talking to make you feel like human garbage. So what are you to do? How are you going to make sure that it ends well and not ends up like you feeling like you need to jump into the dumpster because of something that they said to you during a fight? Yes, I know. It's confusing. You don't know what to do, but you did the right thing. You came to class, Balance of Power. I got you covered with today's lesson. Balance to the force. Let's get it in. So today's lesson is pretty complicated, but I'm not going to give you the complicated, long, drawn out, crazy thing with this lesson, because with this lesson, we could go really deep.
Now I'm saying.
So if you want the deep version of this, go ahead and let a brother know in the comments down below. But for everybody who just needs a quick lesson, just the quick basics of how to fight and do it the right way and make sure it ends the way it's supposed to end, this is going to be the quick lesson for you. So starting off with this quick lesson, let's kind of define what it is. Because I said balance to the force.
Bring balance to the force.
But let me put it in non-nerdy terms for you, all right? So keep this phrase in your head as you're going forward in any time you're in a fight. Because this is the main thing, but we're going to break it down a little further. But this main thing right here is what this lesson is all about. And it is, use only enough force to get your point across or to get them to stop fighting. So to take this massively complicated thing about fighting and telling you that this is not every aspect of it, but this is one of the main basics ones, to go from this massive complicated thing and put it in the simplest terms, we're going to start with physics. Yeah, I know. So we need to define what force is, because I'm not talking about you doing anything to this person physically. That's not even... Get that out of your head. We're not talking weirdo stuff like that. This is a disagreement and argument, and we can define a disagreement and argument later in a different video, but for right now, we're defining this portion, which is the force portion. Again, not physical. We are going to use Newton's law. And it goes a little something like this. Force equals mass times acceleration. So what you're going to be doing in all of your arguments, all of your disagreements, whether you're a man or a woman, is you need to make sure you are in control of the force, of your force. You need to have it balanced back and forth between mass and acceleration. Now, both men and women have both mass and acceleration. So mass as in how big something is, acceleration as in how fast something is going. So although both men and women have mass and acceleration, there's a size to women and men, and there's a speed to both men and women. But between the two of us, men tend to have more mass. They tend to be bigger. Women tend to have more acceleration. You tend to move faster. So between mass and acceleration, like I said, we need to balance that mixture when you're in a fight. When you're in a disagreement, you need to be going back and forth between how much mass and how much acceleration you have. And you do that by watching three main things. And between the three main things, the third one is probably the most important for relationships. So make sure you watch all the way to the end so you can get that important nugget. First thing, watch what you say. Word choice is very important here. This is what I'm talking about. So when it comes to word choice, you have to, like I said, balance between the mass, how big, and the acceleration, how fast. How do you do that when it comes to words? Pretty easy. Again, if you're a man, the problem for you is going too big. So to give an example of word choice being too big or too much, I was watching Invincible recently, and there's a character named Robot, and he's trying to help out a girl that he cares about. And she's having some issue, some problem, and how he said it in his statement. He goes,
Let me fix you.
yeah, he said that. He said, let me fix you. So what he should have said is, let me help you. The word choice here between fix and help, that difference. Fix sounds heavier, harsher, meaner, makes her feel less than, human, makes her feel bad. And again, because this is relationships and we're talking about arguments and disagreements, the feeling of the other person matters. Just in case you're a dude sitting there going, feelings, where you can feel. Shh. Pay attention, write this down. Feelings matter. If you don't think they do, that might be why your girl leaving you right now. Sounds cold, but it's the truth. So when it comes to speed and word choice, it's kind of a combination of the mass, as in how big it is. But for ladies, yours is mostly about the machine gun-like way you spit stab after stab after stab, or bullet after bullet after bullet of you just. In this scenario that I was talking about, she hit him with a barrage of, well, that's this and this and this and this and this. And she just came at him with all of these words that he just got hit with. Quick succession of things that hurt his feelings. And really, that happens a lot. Ladies, you got to worry about the speed at which your word choice happens. So you should, both men and women, think about word choice. But for us, gentlemen, we tend to be slower and use like one or two heavy/wrong words. Ladies, you tend to be quicker. So your words might not be as heavy, but you got a lot of them that come really quickly. So the solution for the word choice for both people, number one, silence. If you don't know what to say in that moment, you can just not say anything. That helps a lot. Now, some people get upset with this, especially if you're using silence as a weapon. That's another story. But when you first get met with something, slow it down by saying nothing. But if you're a man and you do want to talk, you can solve the problem by starting your statement off before you say what you actually want to say. Say the phrase, I don't know how to say this, but. If you say, I don't know how to say this, or another phrase that women love to use all the time, which is, don't get mad, but let me fix you. Or, I don't know how to properly say this, but let me fix you. If you preempt that, I don't personally like the whole don't get mad. It just, personally, it's just nasty to me. But to tell someone you don't know how to say this is not necessarily saying that you yourself are dumb or wrong or bad or whatever. It just means you don't know what words will be acceptable to them. And so, gentlemen, oftentimes, unless you know your woman pretty well, especially if you're in the beginning, you don't know what words are going to be great for her. Some women trip out on words like that seem simple and innocuous to us, but they are massive to her. So use that phrase. Ladies, for you though, your thing should be slow down with all the do. You want to hit us with like 5 or 6 different like get backs. If you feel like you got hit with something, you want to retort with speed. And if you're the one giving the words, if you're the one who's in a sense not the one on the attack or the aggressor, but you want your point to go across, then don't be so quick with so many words. Even if for you they're small, the very fact that there's so many of them will kill us. So with the speed, just slow it down. Pick like 3. Say, I don't like that you did this. I don't, and literally slow down how you talk when you are hitting us with these words that are potentially cutting and stabbing and making us feel like human garbage. Yeah, don't feel good. Number 2, watch how you say it. For this, tone is everything. Tone is what we're talking about. And again, gentlemen, you tend to be heavier with your tone. When we speak, our voices just naturally are heavier. So we already have that heaviness with bass in our voice. So just make sure that when you're talking, you don't get too loud. Remember, and you've known this from other videos, if you as a man start talking too loud, people call the police. Things go wrong. We are not allowed to talk too loud. We can't talk too loud to each other without it meaning something. And we can't talk too loud to our woman without it meaning something either. To our woman, it doesn't mean the same as when you're talking too loud to another guy. Talking too loud to another guy means, oh, we about to do this. Something might happen on a physical plane. Talking too loud to your girl, though, remember, you don't want to crush her with the weight of your heaviness. You already have a deeper voice, usually. Some dudes, I'm sorry, you didn't get blessed with the bass. But anyway, the fact is, be careful about how loud you are. And when it comes to your the tone of voice, make sure you're talking as straight, calm, matter of fact as you can. Because again, you want to make sure that if you're the one giving, you're the aggressor, you're the one who wants your point to get across, you don't have to do much to get your point across. You have to keep in your head, you're balancing things out. So you got to make sure you're not going too much with the heaviness, too much with the bigness. And especially, don't add any speed whatsoever. You don't need to add speed. If you do, just understand that your speed needs to be balanced out by the volume. If you're going to talk fast, you better talk low. And if you're going to talk low, you can talk a little faster. You can. But you can't have loud volume and fast speaking. Because again, we're worried about that balance. Worried about that mixture. So ladies, when it comes to you and the balancing it out with the speed, because the speed is the thing that you need to watch most, that acceleration. You can't be too fast with your tone. But that also means in this section of tone, you don't want to match your high speed of saying all these words so quickly with a loud volume. You don't want to increase your mass. You don't want to be too big because you're already moving fast. If you're now moving fast and loud, that's a bit too much. You don't want the conversation to increase and multiply in force in a bad way. You don't want that. I know you might feel like you do because I heard you like, sometimes I do want that. No. We're focusing on that statement of only using enough force to get your point across or to get them to stop fighting. So just to explain that a little bit here for the ladies and for the gentlemen, to get them to stop fighting means you want them to quit pushing. And so sometimes you need speed in order to get them to be like, you know what, I don't even want to fight anymore. Sometimes you need more mass in order to make them feel like, you know what, I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I don't even want to fight anymore. And that's generally when you're on the side of being the one who's the quote unquote listener, where the other person is the aggressor and they want to fight. They want to, usually fights start with one person wanting it more than the other. So if they want to fight more than you do, and all you want to do is really just avoid it, get out of it, you just need enough, just enough speed, just enough mass, just enough force to get out of it, just enough to make them quit, make them tap out, make them be like, you know what, I don't really want that anymore. And if you're the one talking, if you're the one who wants this, you want this disagreement, you want this fight, you want it more than they do just enough so that they hear you and understand you. Learn how to tap out and quit when you're the one who's driving the conversation. So that's what I mean when I say enough force either to A, get your point across, or B, get them to stop fighting. So ladies, volume is going to be big here for this tone section, but also for you, don't increase your mass with your energy of how you're saying your words. Meaning, your tone should be sweet and nice and kind as possible. If your tone sounds like DMX, if you sound like a dude talking to your dude, it does not give us anything that makes us want to protect you. It gives us something that makes us continue the fight, if that makes any sense. We are conditioned to battle back against steel. Because again, you, ladies, you should be a feather. You should be a pillow. Even when you're angry, you should be throwing pillows at him. Don't throw steel. Don't sound like a dude. Don't sound like DMX. Don't sound rough and gruff in your tone, in your delivery. If you sound softer and annoyed and mad, like, I can't believe you did that to me, versus I can't even believe you did that to me. Like, there's a difference in how you say it. Some of y'all, ladies, and I know some of you who are like, well, I'm not like that. I'm not soft. I'm not okay. You can do what you want. I am just telling you what will work on your man. If you are coming off with that DMX energy versus your tone being softer, don't expect the fight to end anytime soon. Don't expect him to give in easier. Because I'm telling you, you could ask for something completely outlandish that we don't believe in, but when you do it soft, in a soft, nice tone, it just makes us want to give you anything you want. It's the keys to the kingdom, ladies. So tone is important. And one last thing on tone for the gentlemen. Keys to the kingdom for you. Like I said, for us, we don't have to push much at all. Because our tone is already naturally heavy, we have to balance that out, like I said, with... We've got a natural heavy voice, hopefully. It should be balanced out with a delivery that's very matter of fact. You could even be nice with your delivery, gentlemen. But you balance that out not by using speed in the quick, slow it down with your speed. Because again, you don't want to increase the speed and already have a heavy mass. That's too much force. Gentlemen, you can have the most messed up, evil looking face you want during this time. If you want to make sure your point is getting across, that you don't want to fight, but again, your mass, you're already big. Most likely you're bigger than her. Your tone is already heavier, already more mass with your natural tone of voice. So you slow it down speed-wise, but your face can be cold. You can look at her like you want to kill her, but you're talking nice. Then she knows. Baby, I love you. You are the light of my life, but if we don't stop talking about this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remain calm. So can we end this conversation, please? Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Very effective. Very effective. Because you are probably sounding, she'll think, you look like you want to murder me. Oh my gosh. And you're like, well, I might feel like rolling you up in a rug and throwing you behind the couch right now. Yeah, you're not making me happy with this conversation. But as long as you keep your tone, your delivery, sweet, not like your word choice, sweet and nice, calling her terms of endearment, your tone being straight and matter of fact, and you're just delivering something as simple and nice as you possibly can, you can look like a murderer. And she will know without you having to push that you mean business and you want the fight to be over. Again, just enough force to either get your point across or to get them to stop fighting. She's gonna understand you and she's gonna know, okay, he's still trying to be nice. It's like in math class where they want you to show your work, you're showing your work. Your face looks angry, but your tone is nice, your word choice is nice, so she knows, ooh, he's putting in work to make sure he doesn't murder me right now. There you go, gentlemen. You're welcome. And the third one that I told you was one of the most important for relationships for both men and women is watch where you say it. So, gentlemen, for you, when it comes to the mass of it all, the bigness of it all, your where you say it is going to be about literal distance. The distance between you and your lady whilst you talk. Because remember, you are generally the bigger creature, the physically bigger creature. So if you're going to be big, if you're going to be upset, if you want to yell, if you are finding yourself where your volume is increasing, so the mass of your voice is increasing, you got to make sure the distance between you and your lady also increases. If you're going to be talking louder and louder, you can't be close to her when you do that. If you're going to be talking loud, you need to back up, need to bag back. Need to make sure she does not feel too much mass coming at her. You don't want her to feel afraid of you. You don't want her to feel fear like that. She likes to know that she's with a dangerous man, but she wants to know that her man is dangerous for her, not against her. So if you do, you can't eliminate 100% of her feeling some kind of fear if you're afraid, if you're upset, if you're mad, if you're reacting based on whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's going to always be easy. It's going to be difficult. Lots of times. But you should still keep these things in mind because it will help decrease that fear that you might be creating in your person, in your girl. So just make sure that if you're going to increase this mass, you need to balance that out. Balance out that force that's going to be rising. So you create literal distance. If you're talking low, you can talk closer. So with the example I gave earlier of you sounding like a murderer, you can say that kind of close to her. It's okay to be close. And the closer you get, the lower you should go with your voice, which also kind of creates some fear, but it's fear in a more healthy way. In a, I don't want to make this person angry or upset because I don't want to hurt them. Versus the fear in the unhealthy way is her thinking, I don't want to make this person upset because I don't want them to hurt me. You don't want her to feel that. Again, you're not going to be able to eliminate 100% of that, her being afraid that you're going to do something to her, because, I mean, some women won't feel it, but a lot of women will still feel in the back of their head, I love my man. He's never given me any reason to do anything. He's great. He's amazing. Like he would never harm me in any way. But sometimes he gets a look in his eye that I wonder, would he? Where there might be like a 1 to 2% piece of her brain is like wondering that about you. So help the situation to make sure that the fight ends the way it's supposed to end. So it's about literal distance. So ladies, when it comes to you and watch where you say it, this is more about literal location. So if you're trying to fight with your man in public, we do not like that. We don't. That is very dangerous for us. Because as I've said many times, I've even said it a little bit in this video. As a man, if you're in a fight, even if you're the one standing there silently, you could be standing there having your girl yell at you with her finger all up in your chest. She's poking you in the head and she's getting really loud, nasty, saying all kinds of stuff. If you stand there silently, ladies, if you don't know this about the situation, you should. Even in that scenario with the dude standing there getting berated by the woman, people on the outside will roll up and look at that and be like, what did he do? What did he do to deserve that? He must have done something. He must have earned that. I can't believe she has to do this just to get her man to act right. Everyone will, for the most part, be on the side of the woman even when you have a silent man. So doing that in public chops out any kind of rebuttal, retort that we are allowed to say. We can't look angry at all. We can't look upset. The only thing that might happen is if, let's say, you're in a scenario where it's your family or your friends and they know that you as a woman messed up. And even then, there's still a level that we are not allowed to reach or touch or go to or look like we're that kind of angry. You could have cheated on this dude with his brother on your wedding night, which it's a real story, by the way. That could have happened. Did not happen to me. That could have happened. And they still will look at the dude and be like, all right, I know you're angry, but don't go too, like, the world is designed, ladies, to protect you. Don't believe the hype and say, oh, the world is built for men. No, the world might be built by men, but it's built by men for you, for women and children and elderly. Don't get it twisted. We could do a whole video about that. But understand, the world is designed to protect you, at least here in the West. Can't talk about every other place, but even other places, there's stuff that is built specifically to make sure women, children, and old people are good. They're okay. So in this area, ladies, you gotta watch where you have fights. You gotta watch where you say crazy, outlandish stuff to your man, because you're just making it 1,000 times harder for him. And if you don't want this fight to continue into a situation where now he's really mad, but he didn't even have the opportunity to say anything or to get it out, or he had to grit his teeth and just say things in a weird, guttural kind of a way where we're not allowed to look too crazy. And I already, as you have seen, tell the men about ways to make sure we protect you. Ladies, understand, you have a job to protect us. Not only is this important because you want to make sure that he feels comfortable as much as possible, you should be a safe place for him, but you also don't want to create a non-united front. You should be a united front. Fighting in public, men or women, it's not something you should do. You shouldn't start a fight in public. You shouldn't have a fight in public. If it starts in public, shut it down immediately. Be like, all right, we're going to talk about this at home. So just when it comes to that, of where you say it, ladies, for you, it's mostly going to be where. Like, are you in public versus in private? Are you going to be, you don't want to degrade your man or emasculate your man or make him look as if you don't care about him, to basically put him down in front of everyone. You wouldn't want him to do that to you. And the last little tidbit about, like, where you say it, and this is kind of where, but it's more about these. Where your body and your hands are placed. So I talked about distance physical distance for the men, and I talked about physical location for the women. But for both of us, men and women, you gotta also watch your physicality, period. So when it comes to your hands, you need to make sure that if you are going to increase your mass by doing hand gestures like this, or hand gestures like this, if you're going to increase something, gentlemen, if you're going to increase your mass, again, mass, back up. Because you're doing this, if you're like, I can't even believe you did that to me. Make sure if you're doing this, back away. See, I did it instinctively. Back away as you're saying it. You don't want to be a bigger organism coming closer. You don't want to do this because you don't want to accidentally bump her or knock her with your hands. If you're like, I can't believe you, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do that. But you also, again, you don't want to create that fear within her because this big thing is coming at her. And ladies, for you, when it comes to the physicality, speed. I can't believe it. Like your hands moving 500 miles a minute, and then also your hands getting close as far as distance. Where your hands are and what they're doing. Where your neck is and what it's doing. And if you get close, how close are you? Are you bumping his chest with your finger or putting your finger against his head? Where are you? Just make sure. Try to keep your hands to yourself. And if you're gonna, be all breakdancing or whatever while you're talking, just bag up. Just back up. Okay? And a final clarification real quick in case you're like, well, how does speed factor into me fighting in public? That's easy. Don't be so quick to want to deal with the issue right then and there. Slow yourself down and wait till you get home. That's why speed is important for you, ladies. So with all of these things that you should be watching, again, you're balancing the force.
Bring balance to the force.
You're balancing your force and how much you're giving back and forth to your person. Now, again, like I said, this is not everything. This is a much more complicated thing when it comes to fighting. And so we could talk for hours about this. This topic can go so deep.
Now I'm saying.
So if you want the in-depth version of this, like I said, let a brother know in the comments. But whether you're doing the in-depth version or you are just going to use this basic video with the basic lessons on it, either one, learn these lessons. Because the fact is, you're going to fight, you're going to disagree, you're going to have arguments. And when you do, make sure you balance the force. Now that's the end of today's lesson. Now, you already know what to do. Go ahead and throw thumbs. And if you found value in this video, which I know you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that we can continue to make sure you get these lessons. And if you're really, really good, make sure you slide this video to somebody else who might need to hear these lessons because we are still on the road to 10K. So let everybody know. Now, I know you love these lessons. So, won't you come on back and click on another video, get some more learning in. But until next time, deuce deuce.